and is giving away his billions now with the same determination that he made them in places like Haiti, a country that has less money in the bank than he does. Last month, he brought the First Lady with him for a look at some of the projects his foundation is funding.
This is Mr. George Soros, and he's going to be helping the hospital.
This year, Soros plans to give away almost $500 million around the world.
Everyone knows, of course, Hillary's belief that it takes a village, which only makes sense, after all, in places like Haiti, where she's taken a number of them. Thank you.
One often hears of the sort of George Soros boogeyman, but I mean, Soros actually, he is, I believe, the top contributor to the Democratic Party. The second one was Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah.
So, and Soros, I don't know. I mean, he had a very difficult upbringing, in my opinion, he fundamentally hates humanity. That's my opinion.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, well, he's doing things that erode the fabric of civilization. Getting DAs elected who refuse to prosecute crime. That's part of the problem in San Francisco and LA and much of other cities. So why would you do that?
Was it humanity, or is it just the United States as a whole? I mean,
he's pushing things in other countries too,
he's
not
doing
just
the
here.
same thing.
Yeah. Now, George at this point is pretty old. I mean, he's not, he's basically a bit senile at this point. But I mean, he's very smart, and he's very good at arbitrage. Famously, he shorted the British pound. That's sort of how I think he made his first money, was shorting the pound. So he's good at spotting, basically arbitrage, like spotting value for money that other people don't see. So one of the things he noticed was that that the value for money in local races is much higher than it is in national races. So the lowest value for money is a presidential race. Then next lowest value for money is a Senate race, then a Congress, and but once you get to sort of city and state district attorneys, the value for money is extremely good. And Soros realized that you don't actually need to change the laws, you just need to change how they're enforced. If nobody chooses to enforce the law, or the laws are differentially enforced, it's like changing the laws. That's what he figured out.
But it's
an
stunning
arbitrage.
That this trend, that people haven't pulled the brakes on this and have it reverse course.
They're pulling the brakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, pulling the brakes.
And is giving away his billions now with the same determination that he made them in places like Haiti, a country that has less money in the bank than he does. Last month, he brought the First Lady with him for a look at some of the projects his foundation is funding.
This is Mr. George Soros, and he's going to be helping the hospital.
This year, Soros plans to give away almost $500 million around the world.
Everyone knows, of course, Hillary's belief that it takes a village, which only makes sense, after all, in places like Haiti, where she's taken a number of them. Thank you.
We have been given an extraordinary blessing, and at this moment in time, our country needs us. And we need people like George Soros, who is fearless and willing to step up when it counts. So please join me in welcoming George Soros.
I'm very, very proud to be introduced by Hillary. I've seen her in operation. I have great admiration for her. I see her deliver a speech in Davos about open society that explained the ideas better than anybody else that I've heard. I've seen her visit Central Asia, where I have foundations, and she was really very effective, more effective than most of our statesmen. And I think she hit the nail on the head when she said that there are people who have never been involved in a very active way in electoral politics, who now feel the need to do so. And I stand here before you as such a person. It is the first time that I feel that I need to stand up and do something really and become really engaged in the electoral process in this country. In my foundations, basically, I have provided financial support for people in those countries who believed in the idea of an open society.
You're a Hungarian Jew who escaped the Holocaust by posing as a Christian.
Right.
And you watched lots of people get shipped off to the death camps.
Right. I was 14 years old. And I would say that that's when my character was made.
In what way?
That one should think ahead, one should understand and anticipate events, and one is threatened. It was a tremendous threat of evil. I mean, it was a very personal experience of evil.
My understanding is that you went out with this protector of yours who swore that you were his adopted godson.
Yes, yes.
Went out, in fact, and helped in the confiscation of property from the Jews.
That's right. Yes.
I mean, that sounds like an experience that would send lots of people to the psychiatric couch for many, many years. Was it difficult?
Not at all. Not at all. Maybe as a child you don't see the connection, but it created no problem at all.
No feeling of guilt.
No.
For example, that I'm Jewish, and here I am watching these people go. I could just as easily be there. I should be there. None of that.
Well, of course, I could be on the other side, or I could be the one from whom the thing is being taken away. But there was no sense that I shouldn't be there, because that was, well, actually, funny way, it's just like in markets, that if I weren't there, of course I wasn't doing it, but somebody else would be taking it away anyhow. And it was whether I was there or not, I was only a spectator, the property was being taken away. So I had no role in taking away that property. So I had no sense of guilt.
Last 2 years, you've been blamed for financial collapse of Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Japan, and Russia.
All of the above.
All of the above.
Yeah.
Are you that powerful?
No, I think there's a great misunderstanding.
The Prime Minister of Malaysia said that the region spent 40 years trying to build up its economy, and along comes a moron like Soros with a lot of money, and it's all over. He called you a criminal.
It's easier for him to blame an outside force. I think that I've been blamed for everything. I am basically there to make money. I cannot and do not look at the social consequences of what I do.
Do you believe in God?
No.
Is Was that George civil society in action? You've been working on helping to build civil society, trying to build it, often frustrated in the former Soviet Union, in the Soviet Union. I know I first met you in Ukraine in 1990 when you began those efforts. There were many years, I think, when it seemed it was all useless. Does it say something to you, teach you something about open society, civil society building?
Well, yes, because basically, in many ways, I set up the foundation in Ukraine in 1990, which was 2 years before the independence of Ukraine. That was it was an offshoot of the foundation in Russia. I set up a Cultural Initiative Foundation in the Soviet Union in 1987, and then we built this branch in Ukraine in 1990, the foundation. One of the things that the foundation did gave a lot of scholarships and supported civil society, and the maturity of civil society 25 years later is to a large extent the work of the foundation.
Yeah, and I will just offer my own personal testimony here. It's actually amazing in Ukraine, the new Ukrainian government, the new Ukrainian leadership. Everyone who I know in that group has been touched somehow by open society and by George, like literally. Either people personally got a scholarship or someone, their wife got a scholarship. It's a really remarkable thing.
Well, this was, for me, quite an experience to see this, and I didn't realize, actually, how big an effect it has had over a 25-year period, because those were students. 25 years later, they were leaders.
So, George, the way you describe Ukraine, and that's where my own sympathies lie also, is incredibly appealing. It maybe is another one of these fantastical objects. But not all Europeans agree with us. The leader of your own homeland, Hungary, has described Putin as a role model. We have political leaders across Europe. We have the Greeks right now making trips to Moscow. We have in France, Marine Le Pen having close contacts with Putin. How do you explain this influence, this appeal that Putin has in Europe?
Yeah. Well, I think I can take a historical perspective, because I was very much involved in the collapse of the Soviet system. That was my debut as what I call myself a political philanthropist.
Yes, we love Trump! We love Trump! We love Trump! We love Trump! He's our next president, 2024!
Why do you love him?
I love him because he's against George Soros. All right, everything happening right now is because of George Soros. All right, that's why I love Trump, right? Listen, let me tell you something. They are pushing our kids, right, for gays and lesbians. Look at George Soros' son. His name is Alexander Soros. He's gay, right? This is what's happening. They're kissing asses for George Soros. All right? Cheers, guys.
George Soros wants to depopulate in America.
George Soros wants an open society because he is a globalist that would like to have an open borders, open society. If you Google Open Society Foundation, that's the foundation that gave HRC $100 million. He started Open Society.
Why would that benefit him and the people that agree with him?
How would that benefit him and the people? I don't think it's about how, and by the way, everything I'm saying from here on is purely opinion and
Sure.
some speculation.
Feelings, no facts on this show.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. No, but you know, look, would some people who are driven by power, would they rather control 330 million people or 8 billion people?
So, okay, so here's where we go. Most people, regardless if we think they are good or bad, convince themselves that they are being benevolent.